To this, because have you ever come across filter plotters, the expression filter plotters? No, me neither, actually, but have a listen to this. This is a radio debut for one of our colleagues here, Sarah, and on today's Hidden Histories we turn our attention to the story of Irene Stephenson from Hull. Now, in 1941, she spent 2.5 years as a filter plotter. Well, BBC Radio Humberside's Sarah Akerman has been to find out exactly what that entailed.
Yesterday morning, at 2:41 a.m., General Jodl signed the Act of Unconditional Surrender of all German land, sea and air forces in Europe to the Allied Expeditionary Force. We may allow ourselves a brief period of rejoicing. Advance, Britannia! Long live the cause of freedom! God save the King!
Street parties and jubilant celebrations followed Winston Churchill's announcement on the 8th of May 1945, now simply known as VE Day. 5 long years of war had turned many people's lives upside down, but for a young girl from Hull, it had taken her on an exciting new adventure.
It was a different world altogether, and really for somebody from Wellstead Street down Heddle Road, it was an amazing time, because I met so many different people and learned so much. I just wouldn't have missed it for anything, you know.
In 1941, at the tender age of 17, Irene Stephenson had lied about her age so that she could join the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. This was so that she could be with her childhood sweetheart. But fate decided that she should follow a different path, and she became part of a secret band of women that brought the downfall of Hitler.
Women are urgently required for plotting duties. That is, plotting enemy aircraft over the British Isles from reports received from the Observer Corps. These plotters play a vital part in the defence of this country.
So go to it, girls.
Irene responded to this advert and found herself walking down a long, dark corridor into a large room known as the filter room. This was the nerve centre of operations.
It was a very, very large room. I'm sure you'll have seen them on the television. Very large room with a huge table in the middle. We had long sticks and a seat even for 8 hours.
This was the secret world where life and death decisions were made, and where she spent 2.5 years of her life as a filter plotter, also known as Clark's Special Duties, working underground, tracking the swarms of enemy aircraft that sought to break the British resolve.
Well, you were a plotter. You were just listening to the people around the coast, you see. And so they were putting everything together of where the enemy aircraft are coming in and how many, the height and everything, put all that onto a table. It's a great big table surrounded by us with long sticks. And they would say 6-9 or 5-9, so you put your pointer onto that. So that they knew when the hostile aircraft were coming in. H for hostile would put down and F for friendly. And they knew how many were coming in. And so how many of ours to send up. You know, they'd sometimes like have a blitz and, you know, think, right, we'll have them all at once. And then we suddenly had to scramble everybody, you know. And that was just our job to keep plotting. You did get excited, you know, when you saw our aircraft, friendly aircraft, going up to meet the hostile aircraft and all that. You know, then it's kind of, it's a little war on in your mind. And as it gradually got towards Hull, you just thought, oh God, I hope our friendly aircraft get up and get that lot before they get to Hull. And so it all kind of went on like that, and that was radar, really. And of course it was in its infancy.
It was these exciting breakthroughs in technology which gave our small air force the edge on the enemy. So what did that do?
All it is a direct dial telephone, allowing the senior controller up here to speak to the plotters down on the bottom of the floor there. And you can imagine that a room like this, on a normal day, could have 35 to 40 people in here. So a lot of noise, a lot of confusion, people trying to do different roles, different jobs, and it's not that easy to shout above everybody else. So a direct dial telephone is the easiest way to communicate with your plotters.
Sergeant Wade is second in command and a guide at the former operations room at RAF Digby, one of the few operations rooms still preserved in its former World War II glory and open to the public.
The system in place today is very similar. Some of the systems will be different, but the actual method of actually how it works is very much the same. We have one ACOP at Scampton that monitors the radar sites, and then they speak to the hierarchy in London, who will be fulfilling the same sort of role today.
The shifts were long and gruelling. Irene and her companions worked tirelessly under enormous pressure. One mistake could have unimaginable consequences.
And it had to be accurate, because otherwise, I mean, you can imagine that if you weren't accurate, you could be miles out on a table, couldn't you? Sort of an inch or so. And you could be miles out in reality, so you really sort of had to be quite careful about where you put your... You could be talking and put your arrow just any old place. It was terrible if you heard that, they'd already got to where you wanted, because you hoped that the bit you'd done was enough to send the planes up to stop them getting to that place, When you saw the aircraft gradually going towards your mother and father's place, moving on, you think, I wish we had a phone, I wish I could tell them that there's enemy aircraft coming over there, And of course you just couldn't do it anyway, because we didn't have a phone, which is a big disadvantage. And it wouldn't have been allowed anyway. We'd have been in terrible trouble.
Until recently, filter plotters were unable to tell their story because of the Official Secrets Act.
It was only for the plotters and those sorts of jobs who were called in, told to sign the Official Secrets Act.
But now, 70 years later, at the tender age of 89, Irene is able to relive her experiences and share them.
Great story as well. Sarah Akerman with Irene Stephenson from Hull, and Sergeant Wade as well,